Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode, and today we have a viewer request from The Fallen, who wants us to see Rustic Lands versus Skyland. We've got Rustic Lands first up. Rustic Lands actually does retexture the roads. I now know Skyland doesn't, from the amount of people who was calling me an idiot when I said in the vivid landscape and Skyland video that it did change the road texture. So I know it doesn't now. No need to keep calling me a moron and stuff like that. Just a quick thing about these two mods. I am using the 1K version of Skyland, which is about 500 megabytes, because Rustic Lands is only 250 megabytes, so try to make it a little bit fair. However, Rustic Lands does not contain any rock textures. There are plenty of rock texture mods out there though, and they're not too big, so you can choose your favourite one and just put it with Rustic Lands if you like the look of it. I usually am a bit critical of Skyland. I think every time I've done a versus video, I think I've always been in favour of the other mod. In this case though, I do feel Skyland is the clear winner. If you just go back and check those snow textures, you'll see the difference between the two. Both mods do improve bridge textures. I think this texture here though is from Osmodius. I think some of the assets for Rustic Lands is from Osmodius. And you can see the Skyland one there. Both look as good as each other. Both have the strong points. Nothing too much to say about the bridges really, so we'll move on. This like dead flattened grass from Rustic Lands does look very nice, but when you get closer to it you do start to notice that there is some interlacing, or just the actual texture itself falls down a bit on closer inspection, whereas we've seen the Skyland one multiple times and we know it is a very nice texture even on the 1K version. And obviously, as I said before, Skyland does change the rock textures where Rustic Lands doesn't, so you get a quick glimpse of the difference there. And then we got this grass texture which has got the little white daisies. I have no idea what that flower is called. Problem with doing something like that is you can kind of see that the texture is just flat when you put like something that should appear 3D, like a little flower. It's not too bad, but it does fall down again on closer inspection. And the Skyland, as always, looks very nice there. One of the things that Rustic Lands specifically mentions it does is shores and edges of rivers and stuff like that, which I thought was a bit strange, especially when I went and checked it out. There didn't seem to be anything specifically going on there. It's not like the dirt appears wet for a couple of feet. But I got this little shot of like an eroded riverside, and it's not bad, but there's nothing special really going on there. And obviously Skyland improves the rock textures, so it looks a lot different compared to Rustic Lands. And I'd even say the texture leading into the river looks nicer as well. That's why I thought it was strange that Rustic Lands mentions specifically shores and doesn't really seem to do anything special with them. And here we've got some gravelly dirt, nice little texture, nice amount of detail. As you can see, there's stones and twigs and stuff like that mixed in. Doesn't really betray the eye on closer inspection. You don't get that like flat, should be 3D pseudo fake 3D effect on that texture, so it is very nice. And Skyland goes for a more simpler texture but no less detailed. It's just more of a dusty dirt type texture. And here we've got some grass with subtype weeds sprouting out of it. It's a nice texture. Does look very detailed when you're just passing it by, but when we switch to Skyland, you're going to see again goes for a much simpler texture, and it does look a lot more detailed because of that. It's not too busy. We've got another dirt texture here. One thing I will say for Rustic Lands is it does have a nice variety of textures. Each area does have its own set of textures as well. Like the Reach will have different ones from the Hjal Marsh. I don't know how to say that, but yeah, there is a nice variety on the textures, and this one does look very nice. And I think this Skyland one is one we might have seen a couple of minutes ago, but again, it is a nice texture. Some snow on some grass here, like a thawing out snow. Does look very nice. It is difficult to do snow textures mixed in with grass and dirt. I've seen a few texture packs fall down doing that in the past, but that one looks very nice. Nothing wrong with that. And when we switch to Skyland, you're going to see it goes for a more of a frozen dirt texture. Again, top quality with Skyland. It's always going to look very nice, even using the 1K version. And some soil here, nice amount of detail. However, when we do switch to Skyland, you're going to see that Skyland does look a hell of a lot more detailed. And there you go, you can see it's got a lot of depth to it, nice detail. I'd say Skyland wins out on that one. Another nice texture here, a lot of detail in there. The exposed stone covered in like shale and gravel, very nice. I like that texture. Skyland again going for a simpler texture. Sometimes simplicity is more effective. However, in this case, I would say the previous texture with the Rustic Lands does look a bit nicer. Here we've got some dry dirt. It's all cracked from the sun. It's a nice texture, nice amount of detail in it. Skyland just getting a bit more definition. You can see it's kind of got different height to the texture. It's got highs and lows, but again, they're both nice textures. I wouldn't really want to try and pick a winner there. And some moss growing over some rocky gravel shale. Again, looks very nice. Nice definition to it. Looks very realistic. I'd say this one is slightly better than the Skyland version, which you can see here is just a little bit flatter, although again, I would say Rustic Lands wins on that one. It does look slightly better texture. Just outside Fort Greenwall, I think it's called, just south of Riften. I've never really seen this texture before. At first I thought, oh, that's nice, I like the way that they put all the leaves on the ground with Rustic Lands, but when I went and checked the Skyland footage, it also did it as well. which I was shocked at because I just don't remember these textures at all. I suppose I don't spend a lot of time in this area, although Skyland is very detailed. You kind of see a repeating texture pattern there. Just in the centre of the screen you can see that there's kind of like a river of darker colour running up the centre where the texture like lines up, and it doesn't hide the seams very well. So I'd say Rustic Lands wins on that one, although again both very nice textures. And we just got another angle here, just wanted to test that repeating texture pattern out on a more clear open space. So you can see there the Rustic Lands looks different almost all over the place, although with Skyland you can see we kind of see those rivers of darkness running through the texture where it's all lining up. And on the snow and glaciers here, at the beginning of the video you'll see that the snow texture on Rustic Lands wasn't too great. It certainly wasn't as good as Skyland. Same holds true here. The actual ice effect on the glaciers isn't too bad, but when you see it next to Skyland you'll see there's just a hell of a lot more detail there. Even if you look at the just a bit further in the distance, that drop off on the glacier, you'll see that the wind has actually like weathered the ice there, and it's put rivers and like ripples in the ice. It was a very nice detail by Skyland. So on the whole, I would say when it comes down to actual detail of the textures, Skyland wins as usual, especially if you're using the 2K version, which we're not here, we're using the 1K, but the actual detail of Skyland I would say is second to none. But there are a few textures, variations with Rustic Lands that you just don't get with Skyland. So it's purely up to you which one you go for. You'd have to bear in mind that Rustic Lands doesn't come with a stone and mountain texture. It does roads, which Skyland doesn't do, but there is a Skyland mod for roads. But even still, if you were to get a high-res mountain texture, it still probably wouldn't come to the size of Skyland, which was over 500 megabytes. So if you were trying to conserve space, I would say Rustic Lands is probably a good choice, but if you're going for sheer detail, then it would have to be Skyland. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget you can request a video, just drop it in the comments, and if I like the sound of it, I'll do it. Thanks to the Fallen for suggesting this video, and I will see you next time.